Wow. It has been a long time since I've seen you fellas on a live. How is it going?
Good, man. Yeah, it has been a while.
Yeah.
It's and Ruben was dropping lives like crazy back in the day, and then he just like
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
I think everybody was a little winded after the muscle cars at the strip. They decided to take a
Yeah,
breather.
yeah,
That and I think it's good to take a break from everything. Like I feel rejuvenated now. Like I'm ready for the summer. I'm ready to
Yeah.
have some fun. Um but I'm glad to be on here with my friends Jonny Mopar and Jeremy from Sort of Stock Mopars. Good friends of mine. And we're here to talk Mopars. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The
oh,
Meekum auction. How crazy was that shit?
I didn't
Thoughts?
watch it. I
You
didn't
didn't?
watch it. No.
No.
I
What
didn't
happened?
watch it either. I've been watching the backlash and the props and everything from Facebook, and I've been seeing everybody just it's been crazy. I if I remember right, I predicted that Black Ghost, the fake legend, would probably hit about I think I said 600, and I was a little off to say the least.
So you think all that story was fabricated just to hype up the car to get a big dollar amount for it?
I've seen a lot of people that are from Detroit say they never heard of that car.
Okay.
Never heard of it. Um,
So the car existed, the guy existed. He
yeah,
brought it out a couple of times, but
yeah.
it was never like the dominant force that it was kind of sold as, right?
Who I think it might have been Mike Coffey. Somebody
It
made
was.
a
I saw
comment
his
like,
comment.
"Hey, in Detroit in the '70s, you're telling me that the stock Hemi Challenger was beating everybody in Detroit?" And I'm like, "That's a really good point."
Yeah,
Like
Real well.
nobody modified anything back then, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, I find it really hard to believe. Cool story. Who knows? Maybe there were little pockets of different street racing communities, and maybe he just happened to be the dominant force at this particular one. Who
right.
knows? I don't know if I buy into it 100%. Like a lot of people have been saying, amazing marketing. They did a great job marketing the hell out of
Yeah,
that thing, and they squeezed probably, I don't know, $500,000 out of it just on the marketing alone. Um,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
that's
watching it live though, it kind of seemed like the excitement wasn't really there. I think maybe some
really,
people thought it was going to go way above a million, and like they were trying to really push it heavy. They sit there on the auction block forever, way longer than they would for a bunch of other cars. Um, I kind of thought, just given the hype, maybe you'd see plus more than a million,
yeah,
1.5, 1.6. You
yeah,
see a heavy bird go across, it's going to be in the million plus range if it's a real Hemi bird.
yeah.
And it didn't
Well,
seem like people were as excited about it as Dodge and everybody has been blowing up over the past year. You know,
I think.
million bucks is still a great amount for a car, though. I'm sure the guy's
Oh, yeah.
really happy.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on,
yeah. But I
but
think
I think
you
it was overhyped and it was kind of realized like even on the auction block.
you got to figure like those guys that have that kind of coin to drop, like they're gonna do their homework. Like they're like say there was a real Sox and Martin car that went up on the block,
Mm-hmm.
or a Richard Petty car or something like that. Like they're gonna make damn sure that that car is authenticated, you know, before they go and buy it, right? And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
the car was a fake or anything, but as far as the story being what it was, hyped up to be, you know, it seems to me that you don't really have to dig too far to kind of figure out, well, the story is coming from the family, but there's not really like street cred out there where other people were really talking about the car. Like this thing came out and dominated. And you got to figure in those days, there was probably 1,000 black challengers running around. I mean, there was probably all kinds of makes and models just
Yeah.
dominating the streets, coming
Oh,
out in street racing. Like, what are the odds you're going to remember
yeah.
any particular car and go like, oh yeah, that plum crazy, Roadrunner. Remember that car? And it was like
Yeah.
there's a couple of thousand of them. You might think it was the same car, and it was a bunch of different ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the endorsement by Dodge over the last year it's been talked about. Right? I think that's really all someone needed to hear and see for the time period they've been promoting it to take it for real. You
to
know,
get
I
it to
feel
where
like
it
a lot
got
of
to.
people that have coin that want to drop that on a car that they're probably not going to drive are a little
Yeah.
laissez faire with their money. maybe they just are assuming they can sell it if need be in the future, and it's not a loss or anything. So it kind of like a way to invest their coin with it while also saying,
Yeah. I don't know. The car is. I've seen the car in person. I may or may not have touched it when nobody was looking. It was crazy when I was in Vegas, and I'm like, "Is that the fucking Black Ghost just sitting over there?" And I'm in this shitbox Dart, and I'm like, "I think this is a perfect photo opportunity, right?" And there was some people like hanging out like in the distance, and they see this shitbox come up, start backing next to this $500,000 car, and I know they were just like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
You should have made up a story. You should have said this car was used to tow the Challenger to the drag race events or something. You know?
Yeah. I tried to get my
block too.
I don't know. It's a cool car, lots of cool options. I just don't know if I buy the story completely. You know, maybe he did go street racing, but to say he's undefeated and all that, it's like, all right, don't embellish it too much because then it's unbelievable. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, they did a good job marketing it. What do you guys think about the RTS CUDA that was sold?
Oh, is this the
The wild
rapid
one.
transit car?
Yeah, the rapid transit caravan car.
Again,
Do you remember what that sold for?
Huh? What?
Remember the price on that?
$2 million.
That was a $2 million.
Yeah. I think it was $2 million, which was funny that it blew the doors off of. Apparently, the Black Ghost isn't undefeated because that RTS CUDA came in and said, yeah, cool $1 million car. I think so. The actual hammer price from what I keep getting different numbers because I never actually saw it. I saw the screen and what was it, over $1 million, or was it 975 or something like that? What was it actually? What did it actually hammer for? That's the question.
I thought it was $1,015,000, but maybe it was 975.
Because I see one here sold. This is from Mecum itself, $1,072,500. You know, and you got the fees and all that shit. So
I wonder if that's 975 plus a 10% premium.
that math sounds right. I'm not a mathematician, but that sounds about right.
Close.
What's up, everybody in the chat? What's going on? Some familiar faces, and we got Harold. Harold joining us. What's up, Harold?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome to Talking Mopars.
Hey, finally made it. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, how's it going, Harold?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Late over here after 1 o'clock here.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Wow. Well, here we are. What did you think about this auction stuff?
It was kind of like what I figured it was going to be. I was guessing it would go for about $1 million.
Yeah.
But with all the hype and everything that's gone with it, I actually bought my 69 GTX from Dean Herron, and he was in the original Black Ghost video when all the hype started. He's the one that helped Gregory Qualls get that car going, and he knew Godfrey.
Okay.
He's a real big Mopar guy out in Detroit and has lots of cars goes through his hands. But he told me that he grew up in Detroit and he did know the lore of that car.
Really?
But
yeah.
I think it was maybe exaggerated some.
Sure.
But like you said, he grew up there, full Mopar guy. But he helped Godfrey get it going originally because it sat so long. He came to him because he's a Hemi specialist. And then it kind of got put on the back burner again. And then, of course, he passed. And then that's how Gregory got in touch with Dean. And Dean's the one that did all the actual mechanical work on that car to get it going, to actually film the video for Haggerty and everything.
Okay.
At least that's what he told me. So I don't know. I think that all the hype that came with it was crazy to make that a last call car and the whole works. And
how about that? That's pretty nuts that it had that much influence on Dodge.
Yeah, certainly. So hey, more power to them. It's great. They cashed in. I think his dad would have tipped over, to see that car go for that much. He was hoping to get $100K for it at one point. So he did pretty good there. So hey,
it is a pretty cool car. You can't deny it.
It is a damn cool car.
Yeah, I thought the rapid transit car was. I was waiting for that one. I was shocked that it went that high, but that was awesome.
Yeah, completely crazy. The auctions lately with Mopars have been kind of outlandish, if you ask me. I'm like, this is nuts. And I really don't watch them too much. I usually see the after stuff. I want to know because maybe I'm wrong here. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But when I watch some of these auction shows, it seems like Mopars, even though it's sponsored by Dodge, like it seems like they just don't get the same amount of love. Maybe it's changing now because they're so prevalent, but a lot of the auctions I've watched, it's like Chevy, Chevy, Chevy. And I'm like waiting for the Mopars. I'm just bored out of my mind, and then the Mopars come across the block, and it's exciting. And then you get like, and then you get the random cars that go through. I'm like, show me the Mopars. Don't show me this 96 Mustang Celine or whatever it is going across the block. But I don't know, it's fun to see what they hammer for. And it's fun to watch the prices of project cars after an auction because they get a little bit crazy. But
yeah, especially in our world. Yeah, Mopar world, we're nuts.
Yeah, it's
as far as I can remember, the Mopars were always few and far between. Even whether it's a Cars and Coffee or if it's an auction, doesn't matter, right? They don't exist to the number that the Chevys and Fords do. So whenever I would see them go across the block, it's always going to be proportionally higher than a lot of your average Fords and Chevys.
Yeah, I'm just, with the Dodge thing, I'm really surprised that they leaned so heavy with these last call cars on, like they had the Daytona for Big Willie, right? So they had that one, which I kind of thought, I don't know, I think they could have did something a little bit better. Sticker package, okay, it's cool. The Black Ghost, kind of cool. But when they did the Swinger, I was like, what in the hell are they doing here? That one really threw me for a loop. I don't know whose idea that was. Part of me thinks it's cool, and part of me is like, man, you guys are really reaching here. Now, what do you guys think about the Demon 170, the 170 proof Demon?
I think the E85 tune from the factory was kind of long overdue.
Yeah,
I'm really glad they came out with it.
Sure.
I don't know anything about it.
Me neither. I just know I can't afford it.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. They've got optional like Mopar performance, like direct connection. You can get a cage, you can get a chute. I mean, the car's badass. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not, but I kind of wanted something more out of the final one. Not. I don't care about like the speed as much because we knew it was going to be fast, but I wanted something a little different. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was cool, but I feel like it was lackluster. If that's going to be the last badass car, like it's a Challenger with some better tuning and stuff. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel.
It won't be the last badass car.
You don't think so?
No, Mopar ain't gonna quit. There'll be something new. So.
A little birdie told me, and this is from a very, very good source, that the Charger Daytona, the electric one, is actually it has the provisions to put a Hemi in it. So they kind of have a backup plan from what I understand. So in case the electric shit goes south, they'll be able to use that platform for a Hemi. From what I understand, this source that told me, I won't dime him out, but very credible. And I was like, really? So they were kind of ready for, the backlash that they were going to get, and they prepared. So I'm wondering how many of those cars are going to be Hemi swapped once they get released. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, it could just be the top tier package. Maybe they do have baselines for Hemi.
Maybe.
Hopefully they don't put a V6 in it, but maybe, they probably will.
Yeah.
One Dodge. And they only have the top tier as that Daytona Banshee. But, when you look at the minerals to make these cars, they all can't be electric.
No.
Everybody knows this. They're just like sticking their head in the dirt trying to pretend it doesn't exist, but we can't all have electric cars.
As much as I'm against electric cars, so at work, right, I have a new position at work, and some of the manager vehicles are the new Ford Lightnings, okay? Now, of course, I'm hating on it immediately. I'm like, this piece of shit, right? I take that thing for a spin, okay? Now, this isn't a Tesla, like the fast Tesla, the Tesla Plaid or anything. I get in this Ford F-150 and I hammer it, right? Hopefully nobody from work's watching this. I hammer it. And the thing for an F-150, the thing moves. And from what I understand, a basic F-150 Lightning can smoke a TRX. It's like a 13-second truck. And while 13 seconds doesn't sound like much, you're talking about an F-150 contractor truck is basically what I drive around.
Mm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I
that's
just
what my GTX runs, 13 seconds.
it's also a different kind of power too, because it's like it's there and it's instant and you are in your seat. I couldn't help but laugh, and it's funny because I wasn't expecting it, and it kind of turned my stomach a little bit. Like it made me car sick when I did it. I was like, whoa. I was like, that is a completely different feel. Now I still would never buy one, but I will gladly run the one at work and have some fun in it. Nobody's tried to race me yet in it. Not that I would race the work truck, but it's electric power is completely different. It's fun, but at the same time, you're missing the sound and the feel. And what I drive is a truck, so it's like, you don't really get that same feel, you know.
It's like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. I mean, those cars are ultimate supercars, right? And they're badass in their own right, but they're not for the everyday guy. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't have any desire to own one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this Banshee is going to be super badass when it comes out. And, we'll set all kinds of records and stuff. But it's like I still don't have a desire to own it, at least not right now. I mean, maybe that'll change. But for right now, I don't have any desire to own a Lamborghini, Ferrari, or a Banshee, or even a Hellcat for that matter. I mean, I'll take one if anybody's giving one away. But, it's like it's a different realm than what I'm playing in. You know?
For sure.
It's not for me.
Have you driven one of the new Hemi cars like Challenger or Charger, Johnny?
Just a 5.7 rental car. Yeah.
Fuck, I should have let you drive the Scat Pack in Vegas.
It's all good.
They're definitely fun, but there's just something more visceral about, old school.
Well, Chris Field has a Scat Pack. He let me take it for a spin, and it's phenomenal. I mean, stupid power. And I think, what is that making? It's making like 475 horse or something.
485.
485.
Yeah. I bought a new one in 16, a shaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
But kept it 3 years, 3,000 miles, 3 sets of tires, and got rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, I loved it, but I miss my old school cars. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. I feel completely safe in that car. Going at high speed. I didn't take it like crazy speed. I think we got it up to like maybe 90 or 100, but it was just like that, and then out of it, because it's not my car.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
You do that in my Duster, I'm not even sure. I doubt my Duster will make that kind of power, but you feel like your life is in jeopardy in that car because it's just, it's violent.
Well, that's
it's
right?
Huh?
That's what you want.
Yeah, it's a different feeling. Well, you're on edge. Like when you're in the Duster, everything is high alert because anything can go wrong. When you're in the Scat Pack, it's sort of like, I feel completely safe. It's, the brakes are awesome. The car is stable. It's, it's just solid and it makes tons of power. So it's definitely leap years ahead of my Duster, but it is a different thing, So,
for anyone that's afraid of like the transition with EVs and the introduction and all that, all we got to do is look back at the transmissions. Right, they've got a lot of different technology that came out of transmissions, but people still want the standards. Right, I mean, young kids probably wouldn't even understand what you're talking about if you told them standard transmission, but a manual stick shift. They want the feel of the car, and manufacturers, Toyota, Dodge, some are still offering them. And they're saying that the manual is still around when it should be dead. It should have been dead 10 years ago. When you talked about the Ferraris and the Lambos and stuff, they talked about the paddle shifters. They all thought that was going to end the manual, but it didn't. It's still around. People still want that. So the demand's always going to be there for our internal combustion engines, and I don't see them going away anytime soon.
I don't either. There's going to be a lot of, like, I'm curious to see. I know that somebody, I don't know who it was. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Somebody brought to SEMA a hydrogen-powered. I think it was Arrington Performance. I could be wrong, but somebody brought like a hydrogen-powered Chevelle or something. I think it was an LS car. But I like that the threat of EVs is getting people to start thinking of other ways to fuel cars and still make them fun and have the sound and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I still it's going to be a long time. Hopefully long after our time that our cars are gone. But there's something about it. I feel the best behind the wheel of a car that I feel somewhat unsafe in. Like if I feel like there's a potential the car could kill me, it feels a little bit funner. I don't know. And I don't have anything fast at all. But that Dart, you take that thing on the road and it's like, I don't know if I trust this thing 100%.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy.
Right?
Yeah, it's got the mighty
You
270.
got to spin that to 7,000 RPM and just listen to those valves flow. That'll give you.
There was definitely some little runs around town where I was like, this is a little sketchy. I don't know if I trust this thing. Plus, it's got those old Kraggers on it, and while they are direct drilled, at least two of the washers that you torque down, for some reason that I have two on one of my steer tires that just mushroomed out, and I was like, that's a little sketchy. And I was torquing them down all evenly, but I had heard that the old wheels with the washers and shit are just sketchy, and so when I'm driving around, I'm like, I probably should just man up and buy another set of the lug nuts and washers and just get those ones replaced, because I don't know if I trust them. And people were saying, yeah, they come loose, so you got to check the torque. So I've been kind of paranoid. So every time I drive it, check the torque, just make sure it's okay. But I'm looking at a couple of those lug nuts, and I'm like, I don't know if I trust these now because I crushed the washers. But I don't know, it's stuff like that where like I have a little bit of doubt in the car. Makes me feel good when I'm driving it.
You ever had a tire fall off while you were driving?
No, but funny story, when I was young and I worked at a tire store, like we were a bunch of kids working at this tire store, and I remember one time a car left, and then 20 minutes later it came back on a flatbed, and one of the tires came off. It wasn't me, but it was always like, who fucking worked on that one? But yeah, sketchy stuff like it. Never personally. I've seen it on semis. Yeah, disaster when a wheel comes off. We just had a huge blowout on one of our trucks at work, and it was, our trucks are right side drive, and it blew out on the drive side, and it yanked. This guy blew the tire at 60 miles an hour, and it blew with such force that it blew the hood open, so he couldn't see where he was going. And he's a little guy, and he was holding that wheel for dear life, and it just sucked him onto the soft shoulder and sucked him into the ditch, and then put him at a 45-degree angle. And I couldn't help but think, if it was the other side and it yanked him the other direction, because he was in the slow lane, and if it yanked him the other direction, it could have been a disaster.
I blew a steer tire on my semi a few months ago, and that was the first time in 30 years of driving semi that happened. Yeah. That was interesting.
So. Yeah, I've blown drive axle tires, and it scares the hell out of me every time. You're just moseying along and boom. Yeah. And then the scary part for me is watching in the mirror the shrapnel and all the cars behind you go woof. Like, is hoping that somebody doesn't die. That's yeah, I would never want to blow a steer tire on a semi. That would be awful.
Yeah, I never popped a tire, but I have lost one.
Yeah,
on my truck, actually driving up to Reno, about 2 hours away from home on the freeway. And I remember feeling vibrations. And if anyone on the call has ever driven on the 99 highway in California, it's a small highway that goes the whole length of the way. It's terrible. It's just pothole after pothole. So you think the vibration's the road, which I did.
Yeah.
And it took me about a couple hours, and I look over and I see this lady, and she's staring at my wheel, and then I see her eyes get big. Then she looks up at me, and she looks at the wheel, and I couldn't hear, but I saw her scream in her car. And I thought, oh, I better get up. So I put my blinker on. I took the off ramp, and as soon as I got on the off ramp, the ass end just slid down, and I watched the tire just go past me and shoot off into the intersection.
Oh shit!
It was okay. I was off the freeway, and it was a rear tire, not a drive for a steering tire. But yeah, that was all because I put it on with the torque gun, or a torque wrench, or not torque wrench, excuse me, an impact gun. And I didn't torque it. So now it's a habitual habit after every time I put tires on.
I'm paranoid. I'll triple check everything. That's how I I triple check everything just to make sure it's all tight. But this dart, like I said, I like to think there's a chance I might die when I drive it.
Yeah.
So let's talk cheap project big blocks. What do you guys got going on now? I've said it. I'm never doing another challenge again. It's probably a lie, but for right now, I'm sitting this one out and I'm going to watch what happens. So tell us about this new challenge, Johnny.
Well, we want to keep it low key. I don't want it to be a high pressure challenge. But
okay, Johnny.
But so Ruben started this, and coincidentally, I had a 440 in my dad's barn. It's been there like over 30 years. And it's in this spot. The barn is falling apart. He's got drainage going through the place. There's a bunch of sand and soot and dirt, and it's hard to move. It was a long block. So I've been disassembling it, trying to make it lighter to get a refrigerator dolly on it to pull it out of there. So I had started that back in November, and I've just been going over there every now and then to pull it. So Ruben talked about we need to do a big block 440 motorhome junkyard type build off, where we all build an engine as cheap as possible, and eventually maybe like a different phase, put it in a car, take it to the track and kind of compete with each other, Yeah. So we're throwing ideas out. Nothing is in stone right now. So it's kind of an open canvas, but I think the way I envision it is like whoever wants to participate in it, and hopefully we'll have several YouTube channels all kind of building their own engine, maybe like an engine masters, or not an engine masters, that that competition.
Oh yeah.
Everybody build their own engine and kind of show what they came up with, but we'd all have our own approach, right? So maybe somebody builds a really cheap, say phase one, starting with short blocks. Like my plan is to try to build a short block for less than $1,000. So it's obviously not going to get any machine work or anything. It's kind of taking the parts that I have and trying to get as much performance out of it for as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
So one person might build a short block for say $500. I'm not saying you can do it that cheap, but maybe you can.
Yeah.
Somebody else might spend $2,000, and so all the viewers can kind of watch the different channels and see how everybody's building their engine, and they can, if they wanted to build a similar build on a tight budget, you can kind of model your build off of one of the guys, or maybe a combination of all of the guys, sort of the thought process.
Well, I wish I would have known this. I gave away a 67 440 last weekend to a buddy of mine who helped me rebuild my GTX suspension over the winter.
Get it back.
I'm in central Wisconsin and went to Illinois, but I have another buddy who's got a barn full of them, so I can get a block.
Jeez, what's his name?
His name's Jim.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Johnny Mopar. John wants to know what the budget cap on this build is.
There is no budget cap. So that's kind of the idea, is that instead of putting like a price cap where we all have to conform to it, it's really open. And then it'll be kind of up to the viewers to decide if, like if Jeremy wants to spend $5,000 on a short block, it's his prerogative to do it. And who knows, in the end, all our junkyard blocks might blow up on the track, and he's the only one there with a fresh engine going down the track and actually, winning, or succeeding. So that's why I don't think we're going to have a very, well, I don't know. Maybe that's still up for discussion as far as like, how do you quantify a win, but I think the first phase would be like, who can build a short block the cheapest, but it's kind of up to the viewers to decide who builds it the best, right? Because maybe somebody, I don't know, has some good ideas on how to keep it dirt cheap, and still have a good performing engine,
Is this limited to big blocks, Johnny, or what? What are we doing here?
That's the thing. We're still out in the open. So I would say, like, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do small blocks, or if you wanted to hype up a 273 and a dart or something like that and jump into the mix, like, why not? No, I mean, the whole thing is we kind of started with the idea of being big blocks, but what if you're on a super tight budget, you wanted a performance build? I mean, I know a lot of Mopar guys. There's going to be guys that want to do a big block. There's going to be guys that want to do a small block. It's kind of like a junkyard build off in a way. The engines may not come from a junkyard, or maybe they will, but that's kind of the premise. So go to the junkyard. What can you pluck out of there and build that'll work for your car? Because, like, if you're building an A body, I think you're smarter to build a small block for an A body than if you were building, say, a B body or an E body. I think a big block would be a better build for those cars.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. But yeah, that's kind of the thought. And if people have ideas, throw some ideas. Yeah, like John's talking about 383. Sure, 383 build. Why not? It's kind of what can you get your hands on for cheap, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's getting tough.
Yeah, it's getting tough for sure. Hey guys,
what's up, Paulie? Speaking
What's
of big blocks, Paulie's got one for sale. If anybody wants to buy a big block from him, you're
it's a warranty block with no VIN on it. It's a 440.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's
69.
It's already got some internals in it, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got the crankshaft, the Mopar purple cam. It's got everything with it already put together, really. So
is that one for 1,500?
Yeah.
I saw that. I thought it was a scam.
No, it's real. It's right out in my garage. It's for sure. You don't find many warranty blocks, especially without a VIN anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
You're in Iowa, right?
No, I'm Washington, up near Chris.
Oh, that's right. Too far.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to have somebody local pick it up if I could, but if you're willing to put out the money for the shipping, I don't mind putting it on a pallet for you. But
I hear you.
Otherwise, if I might participate in this Jonny Mopar's challenge for building a big block, I'm like, hey, I got one already put together. Might as well take a look at it. I got two Mopar, two purple cams. One of them's big grind on it, and the other one's smaller grind, I think.
Cool.
So, Johnny, what's the competition aspect of it? Is there a competition aspect of this?
Yeah, so I think we're going to do this in phases. So I think the first phase might be the short block, because I think, obviously we've got YouTube channels and we want to try to draw people into watching the build and stuff. So the first phase, I think, is short block. How cheap can we build the short block? I think if in my case, and I'm not saying anybody else has to do this in the build off, but I'm going to try to build it for $1,000 or less, and there's not a lot of new parts that are going to go into an engine to keep it, that cheap. So, and I think in that phase, it's like, well, who can build it the cheapest? And that guy kind of wins. But I don't know. We might have to throw some other things in there. I'm not sure what. But that's kind of all you can really go off of, right? Because it's not going to run as a short block. So then the next phase would be like a long block. Okay, we've already got our short block. How much money can we spend on the top end to finish the motor off? Kind of carb to pan, maybe intake to pan or something like that. And do the same thing, like within a certain budget. Now, my thought is, because I don't want to get crazy and get complicated and get expensive, right? It's the whole point of this is doing it on the cheap.
Sure.
But like at some point when we have these engines done and we can drop them into a car, like and it taking them to the track and running them, but to kind of even the playing field, use those online calculators as far as your car weight, the ET, your mile per hour, whatever, all that stuff you punch in, and it kind of gives you an idea of what horsepower you're making. Now, obviously, if you have traction issues, that's going to be a detriment because you could be making more horsepower, but it'll look like it's making less because you're spinning coming out of the hole, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's all part of the game. It's like, It's not a hard, let's take it to the dyno and get a peak horsepower number out of it. It's let's try to make as much power as we can, as cheap as we can. We'll do the calculations. So if you have a heavy car versus somebody that's got a light car, it won't really matter. And your ET, the faster ET is not really going to matter. It's all going to go into a calculation. And then that's going to spit out a horsepower number. And whoever gets that higher horsepower number is going to be the winner of that phase of the build, you know? And then I think maybe there's a finality to that, you know, maybe you take into account phase one. So if somebody spends, say, $900, you get, I'm making all this up, 9 points, you know, or I don't know, 10 points. You get more points, the less money you spend. You know what I mean? You kind of accumulate those points, and then on the top end, you make it same thing, as cheap as possible. The less money you spend, the more points you get. The more money you spend, the less points you get. And then in the end, you kind of calculate all the three phases, and then it spits out some sort of number, you know, where you're either a winner or a loser, you know? So it's not just like you can dominate one particular aspect, because you could throw a whole bunch of money on the bottom end, the top end, and then dominate at the track, making the most horsepower. But if you're spending a lot of money to do that, there's got to be some detriment to that. You know, you're going to lose points where somebody that's being really, you know, tight on their spending, give them some sort of extra points to make up for the horsepower they're not going to make because they're using junk, you know?
So this is actually, you could do a very strategic build with this. Now that I'm like, there's some different ways you could go about it, because somebody could just get a 440, do a basic rebuild on it, and then throw some nitrous. Like, what's the power adder? Like, is there a knock on your points if you have to throw a power adder on it?
Well, we could, if we wanted to do something like that. I mean, Jeremy and I kind of came up with a way to kind of discourage you. You know, I don't know if we can apply that here, but maybe we could. In the case of the $3,000 challenge that we did, it was like you spent X amount of dollars, and if you exceeded that, then like the first level of that, you were handicapped like a 10th on your ET or whatever we came up with. And then if you spent $500, it was like a half a second or something like that, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you could do something like that.
I guess the premise of this would be something similar to like a dollar per horsepower kind of ratio, right? Like how much power can you get for the money you spent? So anyone can put $10,000 into an engine. I mean, you know, I've been putting $10,000 into a 340 8 years ago now. I don't even know what that would cost today. I know the pistons I have sitting behind me for the 400 are Johnny's entire budget for a short block. They're about $1,000.
Yeah,
which is hard to believe. I think I bought them for 600 3 years ago, but you know, it's difficult to do it. So getting strategic with the budget aspect, kind of like we did on the 3K drag challenge, just a little bit different. This is more engine centric as opposed to car. But that's where all the fun comes in.
Yeah.
Well, the way you're talking about this makes me almost want to keep that 440, and what makes me want to participate in this.
Yeah, you could probably just get what you have running and save a ton of money.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I could actually tear that thing down pretty good, clean it up, and get it probably fired here shortly. It's probably got everything where.
Yeah, and I think, you know, because so some of the things we're talking about, like my budget, $1,000. So I had bought the car, I junked it out, I pulled that 440 out back in the 90s, you know, and I paid $500 for it. So it's like there's half of my budget. If I have to count the purchase of the short block, half of my budget is already gone, you know. And I don't want to do that. I think most people either have an engine laying around. It could be small block, big block, low deck, raised deck, whatever. But you've got something laying around. It's taking what you have and applying it. So I think starting off, we're not going to count the initial purchase price of, you know, some short block that you have. So it would be, you know, so whether, and I think you could pick up a short block for between $500 and $1,000. You know, I've seen 440s for that cheap. But I think it'll be a cleaner start to go with. We're not going to count that. We're just going to count from like, okay, I pulled this engine that's on the you know, the engine stand out, and I'm going to make this thing run, you know, kind of starting from there. So from that cost on, you know, you got gaskets. I would assume you would want to put a timing chain and gears into it, unless you got lucky and you just got a really nice one already in the motor. You know, some guys might want to go with pistons. Maybe they can score some pistons on the cheap. Maybe they're going to go with a fairly aggressive camshaft and kind of like put their money towards the camshaft, you know, $1,000 and go quick. Now, granted, like I said, that's my budget. That's not, we're not being held to any number. So if somebody else ends up dropping $2,000, then that's $2,000. But I think the people watching the build are gonna, like, I think if somebody got completely out of control and was just like, I just dropped $5,000 into the short block, you know, I don't know that people are going to be all that interested in watching that, because it's like, well, that's kind of normal. The whole point of this is like, how cheap can we build a motor and make it run? And like, not just make it run, but have a lot of fun with it, you know?
Oh, I like to refresh my 383 and my 65 Cornet 500, and that's a survivor car. It's definitely tired, but
Yeah.
car's apart, ready to go to the body shop. So it'll be a good time to. I was just going to tear that down, regasket it, reseal it, make sure it was all good.
See, that's
a perfect motor.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think too, the viewers are at all kinds of different levels. Because I think there's guys out there that have a car like yours. They're probably going to gravitate to your kind of build because it's like, hey, I got the same thing. I have this car that I built 30 years ago or whatever, and it needs a fresh set of rings and bearings and stuff like that, and gaskets. You know, they're probably going to go, oh, I'm going to watch how Harold builds his motor, you know, versus somebody else that maybe has a car and they don't have a whole lot of money. They want to get as much bang for buck out of a 440 that got plucked out of a motorhome or a C-body or something, you know, like mine. And it's like, hey, let's see what this thing does. And if it looks like it's going to give the performance I think it will, maybe they'll build that kind of motor. Or maybe, you know, maybe they're like, hey, I wonder what it would do if it had turbos on it. And they'd, you know, watch Jeremy's build. You know, I mean, I'm just making that up. But, you know, I think all of us, I don't want to restrict us in any way. Like, I kind of want us all to build the motor we want to build, you know, and I think there's going to be a variety between all of us. Like, I think we're all going to approach this so differently that it's going to be really interesting to watch. You know, it's going to be like, well, what did this guy do? He's going in this direction. This guy's going in that direction, you know? And as far as the nitrous or turbos or anything like that, like, I don't know. You know, that's obviously a huge power adder to the whole thing. But maybe we can subtract points for it or something if you decided you wanted to do that. But, you know, on the flip side, it would be kind of interesting, you know, because I think from the viewer standpoint watching this, and maybe that's stage 4. You know, maybe we go out there with NA motors to start with and see where they play out. And then maybe stage 4 is like, all right, we all throw power adders on it. And maybe all of us put nitrous on it. Maybe some of us put turbo. Maybe some of us puts a blower on it. You know, who knows? I don't know. Be kind of interesting.
Yeah. I told myself I wouldn't get sucked into this. But
I was gonna say, what do we got to do to get?
well, I got
Chris's wheels are already. He's like, wait a minute, Paul's got a motor.
well, no, I got this $400 5.7 Hemi, and I think it would only be fair to have the Gen 3 play. Because,
Perfect.
There you go.
I mean? And I had to tear it apart because the guy I got it from was like, yeah, he's like a backyard mechanic, and he said that it was knocking, and I'm like, knocking like a rod knock. And he said it was from the head. And he said that he put new heads on it and it still he changed his verbiage. He went from a knock to a tick. And I was like, I wonder if it's got the Hemi tick. But he put new heads on it. I haven't opened it up yet. I bought it for $400. I was like, I'll use that at some point. And I've got this Dart, and I really want to put the Gen 3 in the Dart. And now I'm thinking, give me a good excuse to tear it apart and see what's going on inside it.
Well, you see, that's what I like. That's kind of what I'm after. Is like I don't want to restrict us in any way. I don't want to say it's all 440s, you know, or it's all $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever dollar amount. It's like the reality is that the Mopar world is made up of all kinds of different, you know, genres, perspectives, cars. Like there's going to be A-body guys out there, B-body, E-body, truck guys, van guys, whatever. You know, there's going to be guys that are into big blocks, guys into small blocks, and guys into the modern Hemis, the Gen 3s, you know. So like if you could get into it with bringing a Gen 3 to the table, like you're going to be providing something for a whole slice of the Mopar world out there that, you know, there's a big slice of people that like that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And if we all,
you can build the engine while still enjoying the car. With
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
100%.
And if it goes south, you could sell the engine. Hey, you just rebuilt the engine.
right.
Make a little bit of money on the deal too in the process. Or you could throw it in the Dart and you get to feel the thrills, right?
Yeah. And I think too, it's like I said, I don't want to put any kind of restrictions on this. I mean, we want to do something to kind of have us to make it there, like there's some common ground between all of us. But, you know, I really want everybody to build what they want to build. Like you know, because when I was doing this engine, I was starting off like thinking like, I'm going to, you know, maybe I'll build it this way. And then I thought to myself, it's like, nah, like I want to build this engine how I want to build it. Like I want to be proud of it when I drop it in my car.
Yeah.
I want to be proud of it and I want to keep it. You know, I want it to be exactly what I want, so much so that I have no, you know, inklings of like, that's not how I wanted to build the motor. So I'm just going to get rid. I just did it to, you know, do this little build off between the guys, you know, but, you know, I really didn't want it to be this way. Now I want you to build the motor you want so that you're so proud of it. It's like, that's my engine. It's wherever you land it, whatever vehicle you put it in, you're happy with it. You're proud of it and you enjoy it. And it's like, this whole exercise isn't like taking you off of course, you know, what you're going to normally do in your life. It's just kind of like pulling it all in for all of us all at the same time, you know, and kind of collaborating together and competing with each other to some level, you know.
When I think about a build like that, there's two sides of it that I think are super important, and I think everybody could probably agree on this. And it's horsepower per dollar. You know what I mean? Like,
I like it.
You know, can you maybe somebody can build a 600 horsepower big block for $1,000 if they're really creative. I'm starting off with a $400 Hemi that came out of a 2012 Ram, and from the factory they're like 390 horsepower or something like that, and a little bit over 400. So I'm like, horsepower per dollar. That would be an interesting at the very end. Like, all right, so how much did you spend, and how much horsepower do you actually have? That would be an interesting, because like I think everybody builds an engine like, all right, how much power can I make for, you know, how much money? Because like that, you know, you can build $100,000 motor and have a 3,000 horsepower, you know. Oh, this is interesting. I was trying to stay out of it, Johnny, and now I'm like, there's some potential here to be fun. I like it.
And I think too, it's going to be because, you know, I'll tell you, I'll spill the beans a little bit on my 440. It's got some issues. Like there's some problems with it, and I think all of us we're gonna have our own problems. But I think that's good for the guys watching the channel, because that's the reality. Is that you're not gonna go to a junkyard, pluck any engine out, bring it home, and it's just gonna be perfect. You know, you might get lucky. Yeah. But there's a good chance that there's problems. So like your Hemi that's got the ticking or the tapping or whatever, you might open that thing up and find it's got problems. Yeah. And that you're gonna have some costs associated with it, which is gonna be a detriment to your build. But you know, I think that's what people should see, and I hope that's what they want to see, is that's real shit. That's the real world stuff. It's not, like these high dollar builds where, these guys got deep pockets and they could just build some 1,000 horsepower engine, throw all kinds of money at it and they get it machined. And, when it comes out of the machine shop, it's a brand new freaking motor, and you're not going to have problems, or you shouldn't have problems. But if we're building real life budget minded engines, they're going to have problems, and we're going to have to figure out those problems, and we're going to have to decide, do we let that little thing that's not too good with the engine slide and let's see what happens, or do we dump more money into this thing?
Yeah. This is very interesting. I like the premise of this, because it really is. It's when you have, let's say you have 5 channels that participate, you have 5 different engine builds, and somebody would like to, okay, well, watching all 5 channels, you see, okay, well, maybe my goal is 600 horsepower, and you see that Jonny builds a 400 or a 440, that has 600 horsepower, and he does it for $2,500. And then you've got Chris that pulls apart this $400 Hemi, finds out it's got all sorts of fucking problems. He's got to buy new heads and all this shit. And like, there's a lot of ways this could go in over a variety of different channels, with a variety of different engines, with a variety of different methods to the build. This is really interesting. I like this.
Yeah, because like even Jeremy's got a low deck 400, and he's already got quite a bit of money shelled out on it. But I think it would be cool to build it, because you might be at one end of the spectrum of well, because you can make this argument, right? Let's just say my running engine done, the long block, it cost me $3,500, right? But it's so bad, it doesn't make any power. Maybe it throws a rod. It's like it could go. This whole thing could go sideways on any of us, especially the guys pushing the budget way down low, right? Compared to, say, like a build like Jeremy's engine, where he's gone through it, he's machined it, he's put brand new pistons in it, he did it right. Maybe he dropped 10 grand into the whole motor, but maybe that's the answer. Maybe when you watch this whole build series between all of us, it's like, yeah, that junkyard build was probably a bad idea. We probably should dump the money into it and get it machined, put new parts into it, blah, blah, blah.
Or at least find a happy medium there somewhere.
Well, and that's it too, because I think people are going to pull a little bit from everybody's build. And Chris, like your issues, I think, are going to be more about like, shit, I got to buy special headers to get this to adapt to my old school car, or how do I get this fuel injection to work? Like once you start going through all of that stuff, I think some people are going to go, no big deal. I'm happy because the end result was worth it.
Yeah.
Other people are going to go, I don't want that kind of complexity. Like, I don't want those problems. I'd rather just buy something that bolts in and fits, made. Or I'll stick with a 318 that cost me $100, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be enough variety going around. That's what I like. I think everybody's got a different personality, and I think we're all going to bring something different to the table. And I think we all have our ideas of what we think is going to give us the most bang for buck. And we might be right on some, might be wrong on others, or somebody might have a better idea than the rest of us,
Well, I can tell you already, I've had this Hemi for a while, and I can't help but be very curious about turbochargers, or a large turbocharger. And anybody who watches any of the shows on YouTube, there's been a couple junkyard turbo builds on these Hemis, and you can, for $3,000, you can build a 4-digit horsepower Hemi. Now, how reliable it's going to be is a different story, because most of them, if they just throw them together, without, a forged rotating assembly, they start to let loose at about 1,000 horsepower. But if you were just to do a drop, I wonder how much power could be if you turbocharged a 5.7 Hemi and left it the same cubic inch, but you dropped a forged rotating assembly in it, and then you went, for me, I'm going to be a cheap ass and go, well, maybe I can go with one of those eBay GT45 turbos and just crank the boost.
Yeah.
As long as the bottom end can hold up,
Yeah.
you invest in the hardware, the good head gaskets, and the forged rotating assembly. And from everybody that I've been doing research on, they're like they're just as good, if not better, than LSs. They're just more expensive.
Yeah.
But turbochargers are the great equalizer.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's interesting to know, like, I don't really have any interest in building a third gen Hemi,
Yeah.
but I would love to see you build one, that way. You build one and see what happens.
Yeah. It's going to blow up. It's going to blow up. I promise you that.
I mean, I think that's part of the story, right? That's what's part of the excitement is I think, like, I don't want this to be like, we all win in the end. Like, I think we're going to have some losers in this thing where it's going to be, and it might be me, might be my motor, where things go so sideways. But I think that's good. I don't, it is what it is, and it's real. And I think even if we have some failures or we have some turbos that blow that third gen to the moon, it's like, hey, now we know. Now we know. You're probably going to come out of that and go, I should have did this instead. I should have did that instead. Maybe a smaller turbo or better internals or whatever, and we're all going to learn from it, Yeah,
100%. Part of this that's really turning me on is going, could I make a cheap dart with basically a junkyard Hemi turbocharged, and for 1/10 of the price of one of these new super stock Challengers or these Demons, can I get the same amount of power and at least hang with one, in the quarter mile? That would be very interesting. I'm sure that it's been done before, but for a guy like me who's like, I can't afford $100,000 car to go out there and run 9-second quarter miles or low tens.
Yeah.
But could I build a dart for 10,000 or less total?
Right.
That could at least hang with one for one pass before it blows its guts out.
You got to keep the 7 1/4 though.
Yeah.
That's the
All right. Well, the engine may hold up.
Well, you see, what the beauty of this too is, I'm not asking you to go buy some engine or go somewhere to get some junkyard motor. You already have it, and you've already got plans and ideas for it. It's like, all it is, I mean, I'm sure it was on a back burner for you, like a lot of these, dude, my 440 sat for over 30 years in a barn that's falling apart now, it's like, but it's taking something you've already got that you can use. You're not building this and like, the end, I don't have any purpose for this stupid engine. It's like, no, I'm going to use this engine. It's going into a car, happy with it. You know what I mean? And you got a car, for that motor. You've already got this dream or plan, and I can see it coming together right here, right now. Turbocharged Hemi dart,
Well, it's funny because I've been looking for an excuse because I've had the engine for a couple of years now, and I look at it and I go, that's a project for another time. But this gives me an excuse, like, all right, dickhead, get in there and open it up and see what it's all about. Because this has been sitting there. I have no excuse other than, well, I don't have time to get in there and see what it's all about. So maybe I'll do that. And honestly, I've been slacking on YouTube and I need to get some content. So this might be good.
Well, here's another thing too, is I think that we'll have loose enough rules and direction that everything's open to change. You know what I mean? Like, so like I might decide, I was already thinking going in one direction on the motor, and I've already shifted that. It's like, I think I'm going to go a little bit more this way. Not anything major, but it's enough that it's like, I think I don't want it to be like, hey, here's our first video. This is how we're going to build the engine. Now we're stuck doing it that way. It's like, no, I think it's loose enough that you get 3 videos in and you decide, I want to go a completely different direction, and like in your case, if we do have this, say 4 phases and stuff, maybe you build that engine and by then you might have a D100 and you might not put it in the Dart. You were planning on putting it in the Dart. Maybe it goes into a D100. You know, like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's life.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. And
I know
it's a change.
I know where this is going to lead. This is going to lead to me 9 months from now going, why the fuck did I get involved in another challenge? Why did I do this to myself?
Because you know you want to, Chris. You're a glutton for punishment.
I'm gonna end up hating Jonny as much as I hate Mike Coffee right now. I can't help but think of it like, wow, Mike won that one because now I'm selling the car that I was going to take to that thing, and I had to buy a $4,000 Dart. I'm like, thanks, Mike. You cost me a lot of fucking money. Awesome. Oh man. That's funny. I don't.
Yeah,
really
and I think if there's viewers out there too, they can follow. Like if there's guys out there that have an engine in the corner of their garage and they like the idea of this build up and all of us doing this build, they could jump in on their own and build along. You know what I mean? And maybe pull from each one of us some ideas that help them decide how they want to build their engine. You know, so
this is interesting.
Might be a good motivator.
Yeah, you have to
might
name.
Be a good,
you have to.
I was gonna say it might be a good idea to call my dad and see if he can't help me out. This will be my first time rebuilding a motor, and he used to build race motors for the guys down in California for Riverside. So,
oh shit!
I mean, I got some help. I can call him up.
No, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
Well, what you need to do, Jonny, is you need to come up with a creative name for this thing, because you're gonna have to use a hashtag to get a bunch of people involved in it.
Yeah.
What kind of time frame are we looking at?
3 years. I need 3 years.
I think, Chris, you're onto something with that 3 years.
What about next Mats? 1 year?
Yeah. I think it'd be cool. I mean, I was kind of thinking
doable, right? I mean, 3 months. I'm not doing 3 months anymore.
Or duct tape, you know, which is towards the end of the year.
Piss off, Jonny.
Piss off.
Away.
Not this duct tape. That's too soon.
Oh, the next duct tape.
The next
Okay,
one.
now you're talking sanity. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. He says Mats, you say duct tape. Jonny, I'm hating you more by the minute.
I'm saying duct tape as a backup plan. You know, I mean, who knows? Maybe some of us get a car done by Mats, and if it doesn't happen for all of us, we fall back on duct tape.
This seems like a build for duct tape, dude. This seems like a build for duct tape.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a junkyard build. I can't remember what I said. I told Ruben something, and I liked it. What was it, the junkyard tightwads or something like that?
Oh shit.
What's nice about it is building an engine. Well, obviously it takes a lot of time and a lot of investigation and meticulous work. It's not as time consuming and time demanding as a full car or couple for an actual drag race off the get-go. So like I've got another project that's ahead of this one.
Yeah.
Like the Barracuda is getting the Viper V10. I got to put it in. I'm pushing heavy this year, but I've had that 400 for almost 4 years now, waiting to build it. I'm going really strange with it. Like a lot of people would ask me why the hell I want to do this, but I've got an idea and it's stuck in my head, so I want to try it.
Yeah.
But I could build that on the side, or when I get a little bit tired of the Barracuda, I could jump on the 400. It doesn't take as much time.
Yeah.
So I think having a year or even a little bit longer to do the full stage 4 or stage 3 at least, get the engine running to where we have dyno numbers. I think that's pretty doable. I mean, we did that in 3 months with building the car for the drag challenge, and we got it done. Yeah. So a year would definitely allow us to take our time with it.
Now, is there a stipulation that we have to break these down to the bare blocks?
No.
Okay.
No. It's literally like Paulie, if he pulled that 440 out and he just fired it up, you know, he's probably gonna have leaking valve cover gaskets or something, right? So he's into his whole budget like $30 in valve cover gaskets. And, you know, so
there's going to be a lot of integrity involved in this challenge.
Yeah. It's gonna be honest.
A short video.
Mike Coffee is definitely not invited.
But yeah, I think it's more about, I think, all of us kind of going through the same lens and taking our personalities and creating our own stories around our own engines. So I think that, if a guy's just taking an engine and he's just putting gaskets on it and getting it running, I think there's people that are going to want to gravitate to that, because I think I think the audience is going to be the full spectrum. So you're going to have guys that's just going to get gaskets. Some guys are going to go, I'm going to put bearings in my engine, re-ring it or whatever. There's going to be guys that go, I'm going to put high compression pistons in it to get more power, which is going to be a little more money. There's going to be guys that are going to be like, I'm not screwing around with junkyard crap. I'm going to take it to the machine shop, get a line bore, get the deck squared, all that kind of stuff. So I think between all of us, who knows where it's going to fall? I don't know that we'll fill in all of those slots, but I think between all of us, we're going to have some pretty good variety out there, and all of us kind of doing it together at the same time. And, through, like I said, through that same lens, I think it's going to be kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let me be clear. There will be corners cut on my build. So if you want to see destruction,
Yeah.
probably see some destruction. Because I'm seriously thinking, if I take the internals of this engine seriously, and I get the right hardware, ideally, if anything gives way, I would hope it would be the eBay turbo that I buy for $200.
Yeah.
Like, let that go to the moon. But hopefully the engine survives. I have to do some more research though, because I know that people have done the junkyard turbo Hemis before, and they're always limited. But it usually has to do with the engine itself, and not necessarily. Like, you'd be surprised what these junkyard, I keep calling them junkyard, but these eBay turbo kits can put out. But they eventually give up. I mean, they're not reliable at all.
Right.
But the fact that I've seen them get virtually stock 5.7 Hemis into 4-digit horsepower just by cranking up the boost. Now, they're not going to live long at that, but it sure would be fun to
that ring gland.
Yeah.
First compression ring. There's not too much space between the first ring, the top of the piston, so you push the boost, it pops the top.
Yeah. Thankfully I know enough people. I'll be talking to Chris Thompson. He knows about turbos.
Yeah.
This is going to be interesting. I got to do some more research, but
I'm just going to build a reliable big block.
There you go. Hey, and that's why you win, Harold, and I lose. That's why I always overcomplicate shit. Everybody knows me, and I'll probably end up selling it. And then people will talk shit. It'll be great.
It'll just keep you mad, and it'll get you buy another one.
Honestly, I really like the idea of turbocharging a Hemi ever since I started seeing people that were trying to bring the Hemis into the game to start competing with LSs. They're still not competing with them as far as price goes, but I think there's something here. How can I get 4-digit? Like, my goal, honestly, is to at least get one dyno pull with 4-digit horsepower. That would be and I know it's possible to do cheap, but not reliable. Now the question is what can I do as minimum as possible, like the minimal, to make it just reliable enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna regret this in 9 months. I'm gonna regret the fuck out of this in 9 months. But
well, and that's something else too. If you wanted to dyno your motor, like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it. I don't think. If we still did the track dyno, where you put it in a car and ran it down the track, like, if you got 500, or in your case, you got 1,000 horsepower on the dyno, but you get it to the track and it's just lighting the tires and stuff.
You'd have to turn it down.
Yeah,
that's just bragging numbers on a dyno. That's it. That's,
exactly.
You have to turn it down to 500.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes. I like the idea of this build because I'm like, well, I have the car, so I don't have to build a car.
Yeah.
People put engines in junkyard shit all the time, and I have junkyard shit in the driveway. I just need to get the drivetrain for it.
Yeah.
fuck, there's a huge swap meet tomorrow too. So now I'm all fucking excited. Now I get to go blow a bunch of money that I didn't need to spend in the first place because I did a podcast at 11 o'clock at night with my friend.
Yeah, thanks.
Damn it.
Hey, by the way, Terry's in there. T's Good Times Garage.
Yeah.
You guys can check him out. He's got a killer dart. But he's in this build too. So
Well, I've already lost, so it's all good. I'm just in it for fun. I want a participation trophy, damn it.
huh.
Should at least get a participation sticker or something.
We should probably get some t-shirts made.
That's like always the go-to.
Get t-shirts. Tightwad build off. Tightwad junkyard.
build up.
I don't know.
Maybe we put some valve covers up
I
the ground.
build my shit.
Yeah, we could put some valve covers up, maybe. You're not going to get a nice Moroso again, though. It's going to be like probably a 318.
I just found some Mickey Thompson 440 valve covers.
Nice.
In my garage, I forgot I had them.
Nice.
There you go.
Actually,
Damn it.
You gonna put those up to bet? You gonna Annie those up?
I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm doing with them. Now that I'm thinking about keeping this 440, I might throw them on there. They match the engine.
You already paid for, right? So
It's already paid for.
exactly.
I know a lot of people have had success with small block turbo builds. However, I know that 273 would let loose with the 2 pounds of boost. It would just blow its guts out. So I'm not even going to go that route. I do like the Hemi. The idea was to put the Hemi in this dart, but now I kind of have a reason to look a little bit closer into that. I need a. Yeah. Damn it! Fuck.
Man, I mean, when we get to phase 4, how cool would it be? We're at duct tape drags, you know. I mean, Jeremy's probably going to bring the Viper Barracuda, but the rest of us. Oh, okay, that's this year. So you can have a shit box for next year, like a shit box B-body. You'll have your shit box dart. I haven't really announced what I'm thinking of putting this engine in. I'll just spill the beans. That's that black 69 Charger. I want to put this motor in that.
You have a black 69 Charger?
Yeah, it's a total.
All right, this podcast is over. Fuck Johnny. This guy.
Hey,
What else you got?
It's a junky car.
I still forget that you got the nice Coronet. I always forget about that one too.
Yeah, it's a nice car, but I don't know. I like the shit boxes more, man. It's
says the guy with the 69 Charger. You know,
it's a shit box though. So, but Ruben will have his Roadrunner there, right? Tall John might have his Little Red Express.
You started this shit, Johnny. You started it.
It's all Johnny's fault.
Hey,
God,
you'll be thanking me when your shit box is at duct tape and you're having a good time.
Well, I'm gonna have to budget because I really now I have a little goal of getting the dart to not just mats but duct tape too. That would be fun. Maybe not this duct tape, but I think I have enough time to, because I'm not building a car. I'm just building an engine and a drivetrain, and this is gonna add up quick, Johnny. Damn it!
Thanks, John.
Hey, if you're looking for an axle, hit up those junkyards, man. Those Ford Explorer 8.8s.
I actually found an A body 8 3/4 for $500 and I need to go get it, but it's a little bit away. And I really need to sell this Roadrunner because there's a couple things I really want to buy right now. One of them's a van. I found a van and I really want it. I could probably work the deal right now, but there's a swap meet tomorrow and I don't want to blow my entire wad on on a van right now. But now Johnny throws this project in the mix and I'm like, okay, well, let's see here. How much do I need to invest in this?
You act like I dropped the Hemi off in your garage and said, build this. It was already.
You did. You did. Shit.
Are you getting any offers on that Roadrunner?
Yeah. So I've probably had about 20 people reach out to me, give or take. 5 of them seemed serious. 3 of them dropped out. So I have 2 allegedly serious buyers right now. One of them is going to come look at the car tomorrow. The other one, I don't know how serious he is. He sounds like a young kid that just has a lot of money to blow. Maybe he owns his own business or something. But last time I talked to him earlier this week, he said, I'm clearing out my garage right now. I'm like, relax, bro. You sound like me. You haven't even checked out the car yet. Relax. But this other guy, the one with potential, he owns some sort of a business, but he's got a collection of vehicles. And those guys I like because they have money to blow. So he might see this thing and be like, oh, yeah, this is perfect. I don't have to worry about paint and bodywork. I can just throw it together. It's got an engine in it. Shit. Maybe he wants something just to tinker with, like a Lego project. So he's going to get one for $25,000, hopefully, because that's what I want for it. I'm not going to, King Lowballer's like, I'm not taking any less. like I can't. I need as much money as possible because I want a Little Red Express. And I don't want to blow all 25 grand on a really nice one. I want to blow hopefully half of that on one that is ratty but solid. Because I just like after having this car in my garage, beautiful paint. I was just talking to John in the chat about this earlier on a phone call. I don't like it as much as I like the Dart. It sounds fucking nuts. I don't like that car as much as I like the Dart. I feel anxiety when I'm around it. There's something about a shiny car that, like, if I had 5 junkers, like, it'd be nice to have one nice one, right?
Yeah.
But this one in my garage, it just doesn't. I like to be able to lean on my car. You know what I mean? I like to be able to jump on it, sit on it, drink a beer. This Roadrunner, there's a lot of factors into my now hate for it. I need it gone. I need it gone. Cool car. It's going to be a bitchin' fucking car when it's done. I'll tell you that.
Right, man.
It is going to be a bitchin' car. It ain't going to be my bitchin' car. It was fun to say I owned it, I guess, for a minute. But, I mean, everybody saw this shit coming. I was thinking about that when I finally made the decision because I realized as soon as I decided, yeah, I'm going to put this thing up for sale, I felt a weight lift up off my shoulders, and I was like, oh, man, that feels good. Shit. And then I realized that car is the reason why I needed to take a break from the podcast, and I needed just to separate myself from the shit. I realized it was that car that was doing it to me because I took such a fucking hit with it, with the kid and with the Matt's challenge. I took 2 hits, and I was just like, man, I'm done. I'm over this shit right now. I really am. And once... was it a week ago or 2 weeks ago? Once I decided for sure that the car is going to go on its way, because it's okay when your friends talk shit, but when your wife says, I just want to see you finish something.
Ouch.
Then you go, wow. Okay. All right.
Below the belt.
And then when you got your 3-year-old going, Daddy, when are we going to drive the Roadrunner? And I have to look at her and go, never. Ever. It's going bye-bye. I hope you like that piece of shit Dart in the driveway. You thought you were getting the Roadrunner when you were 16. Nope. Not happening. No, like I said, the car's a bitchin' car. And I'm sure if I see it done someday, I'm going to be like, I should have fucking kept that. Fuck. I'm going to see it roll across the auction block for 60 grand. And I'm going to go, damn it. But, I already
Little Red Express, man. Every time you fill that bad boy up at the pump, some kid's gonna see those stacks coming up behind the cab and like, whoa, what is that?
Well,
Did you put it in? Like, oh, it's the original.
I'm a dork and I like lowered trucks, so I've been photoshopping a lot of every Little Red Express that I've been considering. They range in prices from $10,000 up to, there's one that the guy wanted $28,000 for, and this thing's beautiful. It's a 78. The thing is solid. It's original Survivor. He said he'd take 25 for it. I'm like, blow my whole, and it's in Colorado. So I'm like, blow my whole wad on this beautiful Little Red Express. And it's the 78, which I do like a little bit more. Now, beggars can't be choosy, and I'm a beggar. So I'll take whatever Little Red Express lands my way as long as it fits within my criteria. But I found one in Oklahoma. I better not fucking talk about it. Somebody's going to buy it out from under me. I found one somewhere in the country that nobody knows about because it's not for sale. And short of begging the guy not to put it up for sale, I was like, all right, let me just sell this Roadrunner. But I could probably fire sale the Roadrunner and go buy that little Red Express, but I'm not willing to take that much of a loss because I'm a cheap ass and I need this money now for a Hemi build that I have no part and I have no business being in this build. And here I am. Here I am once again. But I need to sell that Roadrunner and get a little Red Express. That's the goal. I will be happy, and that will make me feel that'll take. And I've said this before. It'll take the sting away from the Mr. Norm truck because I'm really bitter right now. Like I tried to play it off like I was, and I'm bitter as fuck, dude. I'm bitter. I should have never got rid of that truck. Should have never done it. But you know what's done is done, and I need to move on. And the only thing that'll kill that pain is a little Red Express slammed to the ground with that's another thing that's going to like talk about Mopar purists. You get in the little red community. Those guys, some of those guys don't fuck around. Like you do anything outside of restoring it and you are bastardizing it. So if you're listening to this podcast now and you are a little Red Express enthusiast, go ahead and X out, hit that little X in the corner and never come to this channel again because you're about to see me do what I want to do to a little Red Express, not what you want to do to one. So
desecrate it. Watch you desecrate it.
It's your build, Chris. You can do what you want.
I know, isn't that great? I can't wait to hear this shit talk. Like, you got rid of that beautiful Roadrunner for that piece of shit? Yes.
Yes, it makes me happy.
I'm happy as fuck. Yeah. I just want to get back to being motivated again because, like I said, that Roadrunner really killed my spirit there for a minute. And I realized it was having a big effect on everything I was doing. I was like, wow, it's the car. It's that car for multiple. So thanks, Mike Coffee, once again. I'll never forget. It was Wednesday at 9 a.m. when he said, hey, are you going to have that thing ready for Matt's? I'll never forget that now. You ruined my life. No, this is going to be fun. I like this. I like it. Yeah. Damn it.
Where's duct tape held?
Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah, somewhere in the desert.
Ooh, that's a hike from me. Wow. I like Tucson.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Harold?
Central Wisconsin.
Okay.
Right here in the glorious Rust Belt.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a trek. It's a trek for me, too, so.
Doesn't matter. I like to travel. Is all.
Okay.
Yeah. I know it's far for a lot of people, but I tell you, I don't know.
All right, who's responsible for this noise?
That was coming from
I like it.
I don't know what it was, but somebody was jumping on it.
Somebody just took one of Johnny's cars. He doesn't even know it. He's on this podcast. There goes one charger. Now you only got 13. One. Now you only got 13 left. Darn.
Yeah.
What he didn't tell you is that was the charger he got for $200 back in the day.
Yeah. No, Johnny's like, no big deal. I only paid $200 for it. Oh man. The thing I like about duct tape is compared to everywhere else I've flown in the country, I think I got to duct tape because some people were criticizing me for not going to No Name Nationals but going to duct tape. But I was like, you have to understand the difference in tickets. It cost me $200 round trip to go to Arizona. That to me was like, holy shit, this is amazing. You know what I mean? So I looked up tickets recently and they were like $183 round trip. I was like, you got to be shitting me. Fuck, going to duct tape again. Fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that event.
I really carry on or
what?
Is the Hemi going to be a carry on or?
Oh man.
I think you can check it.
If I have I'll just pretend I'm pregnant with a fucking Hemi.
I got a buddy who'll throw it on a flight for you. That'll be fine.
It's okay. It identifies as a purse. Here you go. Put that in the overhead.
It identifies as.
Yeah, that changes things. If I have to bring the car down there, that's going to cost a lot of money. That Vegas trip, like it was all fun and games. That was not cheap to drive and tow a fucking dart down there. Good Lord. I also learned I need airbags for the back of my truck just to lift it up because God, that thing's... Hey, Johnny, the roads in your state suck.
I know.
I had to call Mike. I was like, hey, dude, What's up with these fucking roads? And it's like 55 miles an hour for trailers. What the fuck is
Yeah.
that? I looked at my dad and I was like, "Do you think this shit is serious? Are they serious right now? I'm getting my doors blown off." And I learned about the app Waze. Coffee told me about Waze because I was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, is it really 55 through here with the trailer?" And he goes, "Yeah, I did 90. Do you have Waze?" And I was like, "Huh?" And then I get on there and I'm for 17 hours I'm watching cops on Waze and I'm like feeling like I'm like cheating the system. It was amazing.
Oh yeah, Waze is awesome. You gotta
But
get it.
I'm riding in the right lane. And like I said, your road's like right into the Bakersfield area. I must have hit 30 different potholes in the fucking freeway. I thought my car was gonna go off the trailer. I thought I blew a tire. They are so awful. I was like, damn, California, get your shit together. It was I thought Washington was bad. California is way worse.
It's
My
bad.
God.
You should drive up my street. It is horrible here.
Is it?
Wildemar's got to be the worst in all of California.
Wow. I was flabbergasted at some of the shit I was seeing on the freeway, and there's nothing I can do. You know, people are next to me. I'm like, oh, we're gonna hit that at 70. Bam! And I'm like, oh.
And then on the speed thing, there was I went up to buy a Dodge Dart long time ago up in Sacramento. So it was Northern California. I think I went up the 5, and I was this big long stretch of nothing forever, you know, and I was doing like 65 or so. CHP pulls me over and he goes, "You know why I pulled you over?" And I'm like, "No, it might have been 70 because I think, you know, if you're not pulling a trailer, it's 70 miles an hour." And I didn't realize it at that time. 55 pulling a trailer, and it's an open trailer and it's empty because I'm on my way up. He pulls me over and he goes, "Yeah, I pulled you over because you're exceeding the speed limit. Speed limit's 55 pulling a trailer." And I'm like, "The trailer's empty. It's not even, there's nothing on it." And he goes, "Doesn't matter. Trailer 55 miles an hour." And I'm like, oh, he let me go, but going from 70 miles an hour down to 55 miles an hour. And it's a long stretch where he's sitting back there, you know, after he let me go, it's like, I can't go any faster than 55. It was brutal.
I'll tell you, once I got the app on my phone, because I'm downloading the app while I'm driving, and I finally get it on and I see the first couple cops, I'm like, okay. Yeah. Going from 55 to 70, it felt like I was going 120. I was like, this is great. Until I started hitting potholes, and then I was like, okay, maybe that's why it's 55. This is ridiculous.
So, by the way, the Waze app, basically people report shit as they're driving down the road. So if you see a car broke down, they'll report there's a car broke down right here. And if there's a cop right here, they report there's a cop right here. So you have like a 90% chance that everything you see, if you don't see a cop on the Waze app, like up ahead of you, you can fly and you're probably not going to get pulled over and get a ticket. And as soon as you see the cop, you just throttle down.
Well, the app started messing with my head a little bit because I was getting overconfident, and it would like show a cop like ahead, and then I would slow down and you'd be gone. I'd be like, oh hell yeah, and I'd start hauling ass again, and then I'd start getting in my own head like, oh well, where did he go?
Yeah,
is he at the next exit? Like, did the guy who reported him the last time see him again and go, fuck it, they can deal with it. So I did get paranoid a couple times, but it was pretty reliable.
I use both Waze and a Escort Max 360.
Yeah,
and it's not foolproof, but it works pretty good. So,
you know, true story. Escort was going to be a product sponsor for the show, and when I started requesting codes for the particular products, they're like, "Yeah, that's not in stock. That's not in stock." And I was like, "Is anything you got in stock? Because I can't tell my people to go buy this shit, and none of it's in stock." So I didn't do that sponsorship. But I do like the Waze app. I thought it was really cool. It was funny because they're like reporting debris in the roadway, and I was like, "How accurate is this shit?" It was dead on. I was like, "Oh yeah, there's a piece of lumber in the middle of the highway. Wow, that's amazing." But then I'd get pissed off if they said there was a cop there and there wasn't. I'd be like, "Shit, could have been going 70." Like, Did I tell you guys how the trip ended? As my dad total for the 2 trips, because we drove straight through both ways. He probably drove a total of maybe 4 hours total on both ways. So I was driving the whole time, and when we got into the Siskiyous, it was in the middle of the night, and I finally started, like the weekend and shit finally caught up with me, and I'm driving through the Siskiyous, and it's like these turns were coming out of nowhere, and I'm pulling a trailer, and I'm like red eyed. I'm looking in the mirror like I am tired right now, and I almost lost it a couple times. I was like, all right, shit, I gotta just because the turns were coming out of nowhere. You're going 70 miles an hour, and you're pulling a trailer like, and you're in the pass. It's like a little treacherous. And I tapped out, dude. I was like, you know what? I can't. I was starting to get irritated. And I was like, you know what? It is 3 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and pull over in this rest stop, catch some Z's for a little bit. When the sun comes up, I'll hit it again. And I'm glad I did. I probably would have gotten my dad and I killed. So it's like, I was really trying to drive straight through, but man, that's a hell of a drive. I thought about it when I made it to that rest stop. I was like, fuck, I drove from Vegas all the way here. This is crazy. What am I doing? Like, yeah, I'm going to try to give myself a little bit more cushion for time because I really wanted to only spend one day on the road, and it wiped me the hell out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
hell of a
almost
drive.
like you got to plan something in between, like visit, stop halfway, I don't know, vacation there, and then hit the road again a day later or something, you know?
Next time I'll probably just I'll probably break it up into 2 legs for each section so that I can stop at least once and get some sleep and then hit the road again because there was a lot of times I was slowing down just because I was so tired. Like I would catch my foot like lifting off the accelerator, and then and I was too paranoid to put it in cruise control because God forbid I fall asleep at 70 miles an hour or something. You know, at least if I start to fall asleep, and my foot will come off the accelerator, hopefully.
Right.
But yeah, I had a harder time doing that than I ever did driving big trucks. I never fall asleep in that shit, and I don't know if that's just because I didn't want to get anybody really killed, like. But yeah, that was a rough trip. But I made it.
Was it like 22 hours one way? Straight
according to Google Maps, it was only going to be 19, but then I got shut down in I-90 for 2.5 hours because there was a fatality. So that turned my what was supposed to be or around 19 and a half or 20 hours. It turned it into 24 hours. And then God, how long did it take us to come back? I think I got home the next day around. It was another 24-hour journey, so 24 hours both ways, pretty much. When you do that journey, you realize, shit, man, I haven't slept. You're trying. It's not a smart move. I probably will never be doing that again. And now I'm sitting here going, all right, what's my drive going to be like going to Tucson? Like that's going to be a fucking bear.
Yeah, I've done that drive. That's crazy.
Definitely
the way into Vegas, I went through Eastern Washington, Northeastern Oregon, into Southwestern Idaho, into the top of Nevada. That Nevada drive, the most boring shit I've ever done in my entire life. That drive, it's beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. The drive sucks. So boring. So boring. That's why on the way back, I had heard that there was some sketchy weather because I thought, dumb me, I thought that I was only going to deal with one pass on the way to Vegas. Not true at all. There was like 3, it was like 19 degrees on one. And then I had heard that there was a snowstorm on the way back, the direction I was going to go, or really icy. And I was like, shit, I'm not doing that. So that's why I went through California the next time. But I don't know how I would go to Arizona this time.
Yeah, that trip through from the bottom of Idaho, I did that turn from Boise and it went down. I actually went through Salt Lake before I went to Vegas.
Yeah,
there was like almost nothing, and there's just an empty nothing. I didn't even know the freeways were. It was the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. on a 2-lane road, like potholes everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so dark that I didn't even know where I was. Started to snow. All of a sudden, I see the lights of like a freeway or something like that, and I'm like, "What is that?" Finally, there's a Dunkin' Donuts and a casino, and I'm like, "Oh, I must have made it."
Yeah, I remember being in the middle of the day. First of all, we get in Nevada, and my dad's like, "How much time we got left?" I was like, "Dad, you don't want to know how much more driving we got to do. This is gonna be a long fucking day." And God, I don't even know how far out from Vegas we were, but we were in the middle of the desert. And I said, Dad, you realize we could die out here. Like, if we break the fuck down, like, because there was one point where we hadn't seen somebody for like, I didn't even know this was possible in America. I was like, I haven't seen another human being aside from you in like 45 minutes. And we're driving on a highway through Nevada. I'm like, does that tell you something, Dad? Maybe that nobody drives this shit because it's so boring and you could die out here if something happens. I was like, we got enough provisions to last us maybe 18 hours. I was like, and fuck, who's going to pull over for us? You know what I mean? Like, help those guys out. And I was like, Dad, do you have a cell phone signal? Neither do I. We're fucked if something happens. Like,
well, you got the Dart. You just unload the Dart, start driving.
I told you what problems I was having with that thing, right?
No.
I got into Idaho, and I was like, I got to see if I can move this Dart, because I didn't think I had the weight distributed, because my truck was sagging so much. I was like, maybe I have it too much on the tongue. And I got in it, and it wouldn't start. And I was like,
oh, shit.
You fucking piece of shit. Like, I was so mad. We had just ate McDonald's, and I was like, you fuck. I was so mad. But I brought an extra bat, because it was like dead to the world. And I was like, how is this battery dead? And I brought a brand new battery with me. I put that in, dead too. And I was like, this can't be right. And I was like, I was so pissed off at that point. I was like, I don't even want to think about it right now, because I was tired. Tired as fuck. And I loosened up the straps, and I pushed the car back, and I measured with my hand. I was like, fuck, it hasn't changed anything. I was like, so that was pointless. So then I'm stressing out about the Dart. And when we eventually got it to Vegas, every time we stopped for fuel, I'd jump in it and see if maybe something had changed. And finally I got smart, and I wiggled one of the harnesses, and it fired up. And I was like, you piece of shit. I was so mad. I was like, don't do this to me, Dart. I paid a lot of money for you, Dart. Don't do this to me. And it wasn't the batteries. It was just, the wiring in the Dart is not bad, but you can tell that some of the connections and shit need to be cleaned up. And it's an old car. Yeah. So
it's almost like the Mr. Norm catching on fire again.
Yeah, because the last thing I wanted was to get to Vegas, and people were like, oh, there it is. Pull it off the trailer. What are you doing? I'm like, no, I kind of like it on the trailer. It looks pretty good up there. Like, oh, you guys thought I was going to drive it off? Well, no, I was just planning on showing it on the trailer. That's so I told my dad, I was like, I really didn't want to take the Roadrunner because I didn't want to have to push it off the trailer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I buy this fucking car for $4,000. If I have to push this fucking thing off the trailer, I'm going to be very mad. I was going to be like, it's going to be a bad weekend for me, Dad. But when it fired up, I was like, oh, thank God. And then I had a blast driving it around and stuff. The video, somebody asked me, they're like, damn, what do you got in that thing? And I was like, well, it's what I took off of it, which was the muffler and most of the exhaust system that makes it even remotely sound decent in video. Yeah, that I thought that was funny. But fun stuff. I can't wait for Matt's 2024, because I do want to do Project Cars of the Strip again, but I'm definitely not doing it as a challenge. But I like how many Project Cars actually participated. I thought it was great. But what was pissing me off is a lot of the coverage that I saw online never mentioned Project Cars of the Strip, and it really pissed me off, because I was like, that was a pretty huge part of the. I mean, I understand there were celebrities there and shit, but there was a lot of badass projects there, and we didn't get as much press, if any press. There was only one guy, I forget his name, but he gave Project Cars some pretty good press before the event even happened. And I asked Phil Painter, I was like, did you talk to him about that aspect of the event? And he said, no, he must have seen it online. And I was like, ooh, that's power right there. I was like, yes. Yeah, there was some stuff I would definitely change for next time, but very cool to see that many projects there. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I got to ride in one of Johnny's Chargers. That was fun.
That's right. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And you did a big photo shoot, Mr. Superstar.
Yeah, I know.
Make me feel left out. I was sitting there stewing, drinking a beer, going, they wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Project Cars of the Strip. I don't know why they didn't fucking call me over for the magazine shoot. What, the Dart's not fucking good enough because I didn't build it? What the fuck? It was a good time. I was actually really happy for you, because I knew one of my stickers was on your car. So I was like, well, there's my magazine coverage. I'll be like, that's
there you go.
See that little spot right there on his back window? That's my fucking sticker right there. You can't read it, but it's mine. I promise.
Yeah. It
No,
was
that was
well stickered up. Yeah, it was just lucky. I mean, Jeremy hooked that up because
Yeah.
he was getting hooked up with Mopar Collector's Guide, and
Yeah.
they were
Well, when you
doing-
bring 19 cars, it's kind of hard not to notice.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? This guy. That was awesome, though. God, that was awesome.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So my Charger will be in Mopar Collector's Guide at some point.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That
That's awesome.
That just upped the value a little bit, didn't it, Johnny?
Well, it's now legendary. It's
Yeah.
the Blue Ghost. The Blue Ghost.
Never
undefeated,
lost a project car company.
undefeated, never raced actually at Matt's, but it was undefeated while it was there.
Yeah. If you've never raced, then technically you are undefeated. So
Exactly.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man. God.
Damn it, now you got a good positive legend around it.
Yeah.
It's actually a really cool story. I mean, it's kind of a miracle because those cars are getting so old. There's so much disconnect. You know, so many people own them in between the original owner and then you, and you know, you lose a lot. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like a lot of my cars, I always think about like, man, what did this car go through? It was probably just a family car and people just drove it around and it had nothing exciting going on in its life. But I try to envision like what it was going through, you know. But that car actually did talk to the original owner. So, and I'll have history on that car all the way to the beginning. So that's what's pretty rare about it.
Yeah, that's important. I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, it's really cool because I mean the original owner of the car just going through what he went through, you know, getting it. It's unique. It's very unique. So and it's neat. So
I've been waiting for the people to call me that bought my 70 Super Bee, my 6-pack one that sold at Kissimmee. That car sold for 170 grand, and that was my high school car. I bought it from the original owner, and I know every single thing about that car.
wow.
Since it got concourse restored and it's changed hands for all these guys that got this big money now. This last owner hasn't contacted me. All my information's in the glove box of that car, and a laminated card with my picture of me when I'm 18 with the car. And
Cool.
thought, why aren't
That's
these
awesome.
people? Yeah, it is cool. I think, you know, I'm like, damn, why aren't these people calling me? Every other owner that bought it contacted me, wanted to know any more information I had on the car for them, because I have the build sheet and I can't find it.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I pulled it out back in the 80s, and I don't know where it is, but I was just kind of disappointed in this last one. I figured by now I would have been contacted. Somebody would want the history. You're going to spend 170 grand on a car like that. Unfortunately, it's going to be stuffed in a museum now, and they'll never see the road again. But
yeah. Yeah. And we're getting at a point where a lot of those guys, you know, that own those cars originally were a lot older and they're not here with us anymore, you know? And it's like that history is completely gone.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we don't have videos, we didn't have a lot of stuff back then, right? It'd be kind of cool if there was some sort of platform where these stories can be told. So 20 years from now, 100 years from now, somebody can look at that car and go, oh man, like Harold, he was the original owner of this car. Then I went to this guy and went to this guy and this guy. It'd be pretty awesome to like know the origins of that car, or even bits and pieces, like slices of its history, you know, like
that's what I want to do with my YouTube. I just started this YouTube channel now, and hopefully I can go out and get some content. That's my focus. I want to do features on cars, and I want to get the background story.
yeah.
And hopefully
yeah.
get, you know, original
that'd be
owner
awesome.
stuff, second, third owner. It doesn't really matter as long as I can get the history of the car and kind of document it for the future. It's out there. It'll be digitalized. It'll be there forever. Somebody wants to learn about a car, that person's legacy will live on. Like the GTX I bought a few years ago, I'm the third owner. That car never left Detroit its entire life. I got all the background on it, the dealership it came from, the original owner, the second owner. And on my show board that I'm making, I'm including their names on there because that car wouldn't even be existing if it wasn't for them preserving.
That's awesome.
You know, that's how. So that'll be my focus on the YouTube channel here. Hopefully that and some barn finds and junkyard shit that we got here in Wisconsin because I got yeah.
I just had this epiphany that not only do I get shit from people that listen to the show or my friends, but there's going to be a day where my grandkids are going to be like, Grandpa, we've been watching the podcast and listening to the podcast, watching your videos. Did you ever build shit or did you just fucking sell it? And I'm going to go, you little bastards. You're all out of the will. You're not getting shit. I just realized
has their niche, Chris. Everybody has their niche.
I've set the precedence now. It'd be one thing if I was selling shit and making like a lot of money and like doing some good flips. But I'm like, wow, there's got to be a point where I pick something and stick with it. That's why I had to think about what my next move was going to be. And I was like, what would I have gotten rid of the Mr. Norm truck for if somebody wanted to trade me another truck? Because I don't know. There's something about trucks I really like. And I said the only thing that would have done it would be a Little Red Express because that's the next thing. Or a badass Warlock. I'd take a Warlock too. But it would have taken the right Little Red Express to get me to let go of the Mr. Norm truck. Because at the core, if you ask me, why did you trade the Mr. Norm truck for that Roadrunner? I would tell you that it was monetary. That I was like, I'm getting a fucking hell of a deal here. I should take this because I don't think that's ever going to happen again. And I did, but I still regret it. Because at the end of the day, for me, I realized that money really doesn't mean shit to me compared to like how much I care about a certain vehicle. And like this Dart now, I'm probably like, I'm going to regret getting rid of that because now that one was at Project Cars at the Strip. So I've got some history with it now. And I'm like, oh man, the inaugural, I don't know if I can get rid of it now. Now it's got some serious history. So now I can look forward and go, no, we're not getting rid of that thing.
Yeah. Well, you got to, I mean, it's unfortunate, but you got to make these mistakes. Because like, imagine right now, if you still had Mr. Norm, all you'd be thinking about is getting rid of it, getting something, on the next level or whatever. You never would have had this epiphany without making that, having that regret, I guess. I mean, my big regret is Roadrunner. I wish I still had my 69 Roadrunner. I screwed up taking it apart and then sold the body off. And it's like, fuck, that was a good car. But
we probably would have talked him into putting that Hemi into Mr. Norm.
Right? He sold his 69 Barracuda back in '89. I just got lucky enough to find it, hunt it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Think of it like that, Chris. You're helping your
Mr. Norm truck.
It's like a
Joe, how dare you? That's the new goal. I'm setting a goal. 2055. There it is. Can't fail at that one, or can't. Q 4 months from now when the Dart's for sale. Like, I'm tired of this thing. Yeah. Well, we're almost 2 hours in. I'm starting to get tired. I gotta get this garage cleaned out so I can have people hopefully come buy this car. Thanks for joining me, guys. It's been a while since we did this. We're gonna have to do it again sometime very soon. Jonny Mopar, where can people find all your content?
YouTube. YouTube's the best place. I do have Instagram. I do have Facebook, but I'm mostly on YouTube and interact there the most. So come on over. See the 440 build.
Yes.
Junkyard 440 build, which is now named the Junkyard Dog.
Junkyard Dog. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Jeremy, where can they find all your content, buddy?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube as well. That's where a majority of the content is. I do love posting on TikTok, though. I've done really well on TikTok. But, I'm also on Facebook. I have an Instagram, but I don't really post to it too much.
At Sort of Stock Mopars everywhere, right?
Yep. Sort of Stock Mopars everywhere.
Paulie, I can't convince. So, for those of you that don't know, Paulie's a hell of a welder. And I've tried to convince him to start a YouTube channel, and he just hasn't done it yet. And I hope that you're going to do it.
I'm still thinking about it. I haven't got there yet, but with this 440 build, I might actually put some content together to be able to get up there. And maybe I'll throw up some welding videos and whatnot as well. I've got a lot of people asking for it, so perhaps one of these days I'll get close to it. I appreciate the plug, though.
Yeah, I might make you do some stuff on my car and just film it and plug your new channel.
Hey, if that works. Right now I'm in the middle of a move. I've got this house up for sale, and hopefully I'll be moving soon and get onto my project, and I can be able to film some content. If not, I can come over to your place and do some content over there.
Absolutely. I'll have plenty of welding projects for you, dude.
Perfect.
No
Perfect.
shortage here.
Perfect.
Harold, you just started a YouTube channel. Where can we find you, buddy?
It's under my name currently. It's Harold Micheloni. It's
Okay.
Micheloni. But tomorrow I am going to force myself to name that channel something. Johnny and I talked a while back about this privately, and
Yeah.
I'm a Mopar, exclusively Mopar,
Yeah.
but I'm a
Okay.
muscle car fan.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm going to open my avenue to Harold's Muscle Car World,
Yeah.
something like that. But I have to come up with a name because I want to make some business cards when I'm dropping them on windshields at the car shows and I'm doing
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah.
I want to get this a little more legit.
Yeah.
So, other than using my name with my massive 65 subscribers, yes, I had 65.
Nice. You gotta start.
Harold, you got more than me. I got one.
Well, hey, man. I was on with Johnny and I picked up 19 at once one night. So, but now I'm getting some good content together.
Powerful.
I'm learning all this. I had to
Yeah.
buy this fancy computer, this GoPro thing. I never did any of this stuff before.
Yeah. Nice.
So
Hell yeah.
this is the first live or the SteamYard thing. I just punched it in and hey, it worked. All right. So
I love that.
Cue
Cue Harold having his own live stream show here in just a couple of months.
Oh, shit.
You heard it here, folks.
Well,
I will
got
give you-
plenty of shit to talk about. So.
I will give you a piece of advice, and I like that you're on the right track. Do not put yourself in just the Mopar bubble. It is probably the worst. Like, I love the name of the podcast, but let's be honest, I don't own that. And Mom Mopar could come knocking at any time. And I can't, if I see a Chevy I really like, which probably won't happen, what am I going to do? Put it on my channel? No, probably not.
No, y'all got to make sacrifices. That's how I look at it.
I do have a couple names picked out for the day that they come knocking on my door, but hopefully I'll never have to tell anybody those names so that I can keep it talking Mopars, but we'll see.
Well, I hope so. It fits.
Yeah. It definitely fits, and I hope that it's now ingrained in the culture where it's like, if they did come knocking on my door, a lot of people would give them shit for it. Like,
Yeah.
come on, it's not like the guy's rich. You can't even fucking finish a car. You watch the guy's channel? Oh, man. But thanks, guys, for joining me. It was a lot of fun. You're welcome back anytime we do a live. Same with everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your comments and questions. It was a lot of fun, and we will do this again soon. Until next time, remember, no Mopar left behind.
Later. Nice meeting you guys.
Have a good one. Thank you.